Come on, full circle. Full table. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's now 9:45. We're officially going to get started. For anyone who is having issues logging onto the internet, the username and the password are both GLANDS, GLANDS. And make sure that you're on the Omni Meeting Network. Otherwise, none of that stuff I told you would matter. All right, so roll call. Make sure you take notes. And, the opening thought sent in by Mr. Arlene Conley.
So the other day, the organization, no matter how well designed, is only as good as people who really get the work in.
Appreciate that. My sister. All right. So for today, I'm just reiterating the stuff that we are going to be focused on. Make sure that we're moving forward with the idea of clarifying, simplifying, strengthening, and improving. Can I make it bigger? No, I can't. I don't know how to zoom. But yeah. So, but yeah. So clarifying, simplifying, strengthening, and improving. Oh snap. All right. And then also we did a lot of relationship building yesterday. Well, we didn't do a lot. We did. Quarterly review, which is going to continue today. But the bulk of today, we're going to be focused on planning and organizational development with some leadership development. But yeah, today is going to be mostly a work day. So I hope you all came prepared to do that. Right. So we're going to start off just with a little bit of review and talking about some of the stuff that went on yesterday. Some of your biggest takeaways, some of the things that you want to see us continue to do moving forward, things that really stood out to you, things that were impactful to you, and then also things that you may want us to do differently moving forward. So anyone can start. Yes, go ahead.
I guess I said my biggest takeaway from yesterday was about the personality, and sometimes, working together, especially when common time come around, it's gonna be a lot going on. So knowing who to go to for what and who to ask, it's gonna help. I guess it's better than dictate who should do what or how and help us work together.
So
I know to go to data or any of the group people for personal things. I know to go to the Go people for structure. I know to go to the Orange people if I need to be lighten up, bring people for intellect and stuff like that.
Yeah. So for you, one of the biggest takeaways was the true colors exercise.
Right.
And it just helps you better understand how to work with individuals and how to interact with people. Okay. Can anyone else relate to what she just said? Yeah. So.
Personally, I feel interesting because bringing food and overall hospitality to the company, bringing food and go kind of interesting how close
What,
still have certain strength and situation.
so what meaning did you take from it? Did you take from it? Yeah.
I feel like I know now who, I get by with like naturally seeing everybody, naturally like by everybody, but now you see why And then I like just said, you know who to go to. Like I know if I need somebody who's not gonna be about to be up, I know I have a flyer or whatever. How does this letter look? So I'm gonna bring it to you. Don't get it secret. Like I mean, if I need organization, I'm supposed to know, you know, whatever.
How you think you can use some of that stuff for people that you clash with, people that you don't necessarily want to or work well with? 'Cause
I'm really like passionate. So I'm a leader, so I think I think it'll help me better understand that it's not always about me, but I guess it's a so well. So this gives you your perspective.
yeah, sometimes a lot of times, we get bothered by other people's stuff. Like we're upset, we get all frustrated by how someone treats us when it may have nothing to do with us. It's just their stuff that they're dealing with. So yeah, sometimes you just don't need to take things personally. Sometimes it has nothing to do with you. So I think that's a very insightful point that you made. Kendra, I saw you do this.
Well, I guess it was the same thing with what you said, but I just was using it as a conference. I was using it for the organization as a whole, how to know who to go with. And it's something that I would actually like to take back to actually meet with some organizations at my university because they have problems with knowing who to be the target person or knowing who to we don't get to plans like they try to do it themselves or it fails. But I mean, like I said, that activity, the true color activity is something that I feel that will give you the idea of who, like you said, who to go to or who you can and cannot go at that time, and you know who to follow. So that's what I think that's an organization.
Cool. Anyone else? Was there anything that happened yesterday, or something that you may want to see happen today? Yes.
Yesterday, I guess getting off of the truth. I agree with everybody else about the truth of activity as well. But as far as the organization and where we are, as we heard the majority of the reports yesterday. Overall, I guess I was very pleased and with all that I saw that was going on from the regions that presented. So I was really excited about the work that they were doing in within their regions, the Northeast and the South Central. And I guess the major concerns that I have, or that we have as an organization, are the issues that we have with conference and with membership. I think those are two huge areas that we need to kind of get control of at this point, so that we can, those two areas that we can't afford to wait, like another quarter or whatever, to get a grasp on. So those are things that we need to take into action on.
Okay. So in addition to just focusing on the reasons that we're here, leadership development, organizational development, all that other stuff, clarifying, simplifying, we also need to identify clearly and agree about some of the most pressing issues with respect to the organization. And I think we can all agree that the conference and the membership piece are pretty important right now, right? All right. Yo.
I enjoyed Willie's presentation about us thinking or working from the inside outward.
Mm-hmm.
So we all are in this organization, but Willie helped us to do like some self-reflection to see, why it is that we do what we do, how we do those things. So I enjoyed your presentation. It helped me do a lot of self-reflecting. Even I can take that back to my own job, other organizations that I'm in, and also work see what I can do to just be better.
Okay, so the importance of being able to start from the inside out, and then also it's something that you can do not just in NBGSA, but you can take back to wherever you are. And I know a couple of you also mentioned that there were things that happened yesterday that you could take back and kind of apply to your lives outside of NBGSA. And Kendra just mentioned that today too. So I mean, I think that's excellent. That's beautiful. Yeah. All right. Anything else from anybody else before we move forward?
Oh, and I was just like, I was excited to see such a large representation from the leadership team here. I know we didn't have a strong group in October, so that was encouraging in and of itself.
How many people do we have? I know yesterday we had, what, 16?
19.
We have 19 right now?
Including Dr. Sims.
Including Dr. T. We got 19? Wow, that's what's up. So it's like 25 on the board? Yeah. Give or take. So we almost at a B. We almost at 80%. Let's round up. We're at 80. We got a strong B minus right now. That's all right. I'll take it. Okay. Yeah, I think that is excellent. I think it's great that everybody found a reason, found something in the NBGSA that was important enough for them to, do everything that they had to do to get here. Go through delayed flights, show up early, show up when they could. Man, I mean, it's powerful. So, yeah, I definitely commend everyone who's here right now. And anyone who's listening, too, who's tuning in, I commend you all as well for, committing, staying committed. Anything else? All right, cool. So, yeah, man, like I said, thank you all for being here, being engaged. And, yeah, we're just getting started. So, I mean, I'm excited. I'm really excited. So, that was from yesterday. But I hope you all still have this. Does everyone still have the top 3 important things, most important things? Are they able to access the information quickly? Okay, so we'll run through this again. Just a minute. Just write it down. Reflect for a few seconds and think about the top 3 most important things in your life. Just write those down if you don't have that stuff from yesterday. All right, anyone need more time? Hearing nothing. All right. So yeah, again, we've been focusing on just the inside out. Willie's presentation kind of exemplified the idea of focusing on the inside out and making sure that you're clear on certain things before you move forward with other things. So this is the same way, and I think there's a really good level of trust this year in the organization. Would you all agree? Mm-hmm. I think okay, maybe not. Okay, but that's something that still is something that has to be maintained. And then again, making sure that we have a level of awareness. When Willie asked the question yesterday about what we do, right? We had a lot of answers. We had a lot of answers about how we do those things, right? We had a lot of responses. But when he asked why, we had a lot of pauses. It was a lot of, well, that's a good question, or like, why do we do it? Why are we? Those types of responses, and that made me uncomfortable. I've been uncomfortable the whole year, and I didn't know exactly why until I was exposed to Simon Sinek. But that was part of the reason. That was part of the reason that I think I was uncomfortable. So yeah, when we focus on that level of awareness, that culture of the organization, like everyone knows why Apple is awesome, right? You might not be able to put it into words, but you have a good feeling, well, a lot of people do anyway, why Apple is awesome for them, based on their experiences, based on the things that are most important to them, right? How many people here have an iPhone? Right. Or how many here have an Apple product at all? right? I think that's a fair amount. And then how many people in here have a Google product or an Android? And you know, and I think, you all right? You good? You need some water? There's some water right there, bro. Oh my goodness, there's some water right there. Cool. That was sensitive, man. Sensitive, just like your phone, man. It's crazy. All right, so, but the point is that we all know why we're on some level, even if we can't put it into language. We kind of have an idea of the things that are most important to us and why we're doing things. We have some idea. We may not be as tapped into it or be able to tune into it as clearly and effectively as we would like, but I think that's true for everyone. Everyone kind of knows why they're doing, what they're looking for on some level. And so what we really want to do is clarify the things that we're doing as an organization, make sure that we know exactly what it is that we're doing so we can attract the individuals who connect their why to ours. Right, that's the kind of idea that we want. And so by really identifying who we are, we will consistently act in ways and create results that will allow people who want to do the same things as us to find us. Right, it's like wearing a cap that says "I am awesome." Right, you're gonna naturally attract other people that are awesome. Right, so that's the same idea here. But it all starts with knowing on a very gut level, a very emotional level, who you are and what is important to you. So we didn't get to do start with why yesterday, so that's what we're actually going to start with today. And there's a video of the guy actually who wrote the book about his experience, and we're just going to check this out. And then afterwards, we're going to do a little exercise. And I think that's going to orient us in the best direction to have the most productive day possible. So. Let me know if y'all can hear.
How do you explain when things don't go as we assume? Or better, how do you explain when others are able to achieve things that seem to defy all of the assumptions? For example, why is Apple so innovative? Year after year after year after year, they're more innovative than all their competition. And yet, they're just a computer company. They're just like everyone else. They have the same access to the same talent, the same agencies, the same consultants, the same media. Then why is it that they seem to have something different? Why is it that Martin Luther King led the civil rights movement? He wasn't the only man who suffered in a pre-civil rights America, and he certainly wasn't the only great orator of the day. Why him? And why is it that the Wright brothers were able to figure out control-powered manned flight when there were certainly other teams who were better qualified, better funded, and they didn't achieve powered manned flight? The Wright brothers beat them to it. There's something else at play here. About 3.5 years ago, I made a discovery. And this discovery profoundly changed my view on how I thought the world worked, and it even profoundly changed the way in which I operate in it. As it turns out, there's a pattern. As it turns out, all the great and inspiring leaders and organizations in the world, whether it's Apple or Martin Luther King or the Wright brothers, they all think, act, and communicate the exact same way, and it's the complete opposite to everyone else. All I did was codify it. And it's probably the world's simplest idea. I call it the golden circle. Why, how, what? This little idea explains why some organizations and some leaders are able to inspire where others aren't. Let me define the terms really quickly. Every single person, every single organization on the planet knows what they do 100%. Some know how they do it, whether you call it your differentiating value proposition or your proprietary process or your USP. But very, very few people or organizations know why they do what they do. And by why, I don't mean to make a profit. That's a result. It's always a result. By why, I mean what's your purpose? What's your cause? What's your belief? Why does your organization from the outside in? It's obvious. We go from the clearest thing to the fuzziest thing. But the inspired leaders and the inspired organizations, regardless of their size, regardless of their industry, all think, act, and communicate from the inside out. Let me give you an example. I use Apple because they're easy to understand and everybody gets it. If Apple were like everyone else, a marketing message from them might sound like this. We make great computers. They're beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? Meh. And that's how most of us communicate. That's how most marketing is done, that's how most sales is done, and that's how most of us communicate interpersonally. We say what we do, we say how we're different or how we're better, and we expect some sort of behavior, a purchase, a vote, something like that. Here's our new law firm. We have the best lawyers with the biggest clients. We have, we always perform for our clients, do business with us. Here's our new car. It gets great gas mileage. It has, leather seats. Buy our car. But it's uninspiring. Here's how Apple actually communicates. Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? Totally different, right? You're ready to buy a computer from me. All I did was reverse the order of the information. What it proves to us is that people don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. This explains why every single person in this room is perfectly comfortable buying a computer from Apple. But we're also perfectly comfortable buying an MP3 player from Apple, or a phone from Apple, or a DVR from Apple. But as I said before, Apple's just a computer company. There's nothing that distinguishes them structurally from any of their competitors. Their competitors are all equally qualified to make all of these products. In fact, they tried. A few years ago, Gateway came out with flat-screen TVs. They're eminently qualified to make flat-screen TVs. They've been making flat-screen monitors for years. Nobody bought one. And Dell came out with MP3 players and PDAs. And they make great quality products, and they can make perfectly well-designed products, and nobody bought one. In fact, talking about it now, we can't even imagine buying an MP3 player from Dell. Why would you buy an MP3 player from a computer company? But we do it every day. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. The goal is not to do business with everybody who needs what you have. The goal is to do business with people who believe what you believe. Here's the best part. None of what I'm telling you is my opinion. It's all grounded in the tenets of biology, not psychology, biology. If you look at a cross-section of the human brain looking for cortex corresponds with the what level. The neocortex is responsible for all of our rational and analytical thought and language. The middle two sections make up our limbic brains, and our limbic brains are responsible for all of our feelings, like trust and loyalty. It's also responsible for all human behavior, all decision-making, and it has no capacity for language. In other words, when we communicate from the outside in, yes, people can understand vast amounts of complicated information like features and benefits and facts and figures. It just doesn't drive behavior. When we communicate from the inside out, we're talking directly to the part of the brain that controls behavior, and then we allow people to rationalize it with the tangible things we say and do. This is where gut decisions come from. Sometimes you can give somebody all the facts and your figures, and they say, I know what all the facts and details say, but it just doesn't feel right. Why would we use that verb? It doesn't feel right, because the part of the brain that controls decision-making doesn't control language. And the best we can muster up is, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right. Or sometimes you say you're leading with your heart, or you're leading with your soul. Well, I hate to break it to you, those aren't other body parts controlling your behavior. It's all happening here in your limbic brain, the part of the brain that controls decision-making and not language. But if you don't know why you do what you do, and people respond to why you do what you do, then how will anybody How will you ever get people to vote for you or buy something from you, or more importantly, be loyal and want to be a part of what it is that you do? Again, the goal is not just to sell people who need what you have. The goal is to sell to people who believe what you believe. The goal is not just to hire people who need a job. It's to hire people who believe what you believe. I always say that, you know, there's if you hire people just because they can do a job, they'll work for your money. But if you hire people who believe what you believe, they work for you with blood and sweat and tears. And nowhere else is there a better example of this than with the Wright brothers. Most people don't know about Samuel Pierpont Langley. And back in the early 20th century, the pursuit of powered man flight was like the .com of the day. Everybody was trying it. And Samuel Pierpont Langley had what we assume to be the recipe for success. I mean, even now, when you ask people, why did your product or why did your company fail? And people always give you the same permutation of the same three things. $1 by the War Department to figure out this flying machine. Money was no problem. He held a seat at Harvard and worked at the Smithsonian and was extremely well connected. He knew all the big minds of the day. He hired the best minds money could find, and the market conditions were fantastic. The New York Times followed him around everywhere, and everyone was rooting for Langley. And how come we've never heard of Samuel Pierpont Langley? A few hundred miles away in Dayton, Ohio, Orville and Wilbur Wright. They had none of what we consider to be the recipe for success. They had no money. They paid for their dream with the proceeds from their bicycle shop. Not a single person on the Wright brothers' team had a college education, not even Orville or Wilbur. And the New York Times followed them around nowhere. The difference was Orville and Wilbur were driven by a cause, by a purpose, by a belief. They believed that if they could figure out this flying machine, it'll change the course of the world. Samuel Pierpont Langley was different. He wanted to be rich, and he wanted to be famous. He was in pursuit of the result. He was in pursuit of the riches. And lo and behold, look what happened. The people who believed in the Wright brothers' dream worked with them with blood and sweat and tears. The others just worked for the paycheck. And they tell stories of how every time the Wright brothers went out, they would have to take 5 sets of parts because that's how many times they would crash before they came in for supper. And eventually, on December 17th, 1903, the Wright brothers took flight. And no one was there to even experience it. We found out about it a few days later. And further proof that Langley was motivated by the wrong thing, the day the Wright brothers took flight, he quit. He could have said, that's an amazing discovery, guys, and I will improve upon your technology. But he didn't. He wasn't first. He didn't get rich. He didn't get famous. So he quit. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And if you talk about what you believe, you will attract those who believe what you believe. Well, why is it important to attract those who believe what you believe? Something called the law of diffusion of innovation. And if you don't know the law, you definitely know the terminology. The first 2.5% of our population are our innovators. The next 13.5% of our population are our early adopters. The next 34% are your early majority, your late majority, and your laggards. The only reason these people buy touch-tone phones is because you can't buy rotary phones anymore. We all sit at various places at various times on the scale, but what the law of diffusion of innovation tells us is that if you want mass market success or mass market acceptance of an idea, you cannot have it until you achieve this tipping point between 15 and 18% market penetration, and then the system tips. And I love asking businesses, what's your conversion on new business? And they love to tell you, oh, it's about 10% proudly. Well, you can trip over 10% of the customers. We all have about 10% who just get it. That's how we describe them, right? That's like that gut feeling, oh, they just get it. The problem is, how do you find the ones that just get it before you're doing business with them versus the ones who don't get it? So it's this here, this little gap, that you have to close, as Jeffrey Moore calls it, crossing the chasm. Because you see, the early majority will not try something until someone else has tried it first. And these guys, the innovators and the early adopters, they're comfortable making those gut decisions. They're more comfortable making those intuitive decisions that are driven by what they believe about the world. and not just what product is available. These are the people who stood online for 6 hours to buy an iPhone when they first came out, when you could have just walked into the store the next week and bought one off the shelf. These are the people who spent $40,000 on flat screen TVs when they first came out, even though the technology was substandard. And by the way, they didn't do it because the technology was so great. They did it for themselves. It's because they wanted to be first. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And what